I don't want a pickle, just want to ride on my motorcycle. Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is the Noco Moto Podcast, episode number 286, I believe. I'm your host, MotoGP. With me is your other host, Swiggy.
Yep.
Coming to you from Moto One Podcast Network Studios, otherwise known as the Tiki Room, which you should be seeing on video again, and pretty soon you should be seeing our fancy new TV monitor setup. So this is going to be an episode where hopefully that's more important than usual, and you can follow along a lot better than usual. Hopefully we're going to get this one up to YouTube after like a 4-episode stint of not having episodes up on YouTube. And this one will have incredible footage of Swiggy's monitor here. And that's going to be important because I think we're going to try to do like news, emails, things like that. But also you can see really great pictures of what we're looking at. Not just a fucking GoPro pointed at a 720p fucking TV from an old restaurant that I used to work at. We're coming up. And, you know, it's only appropriate since I think we've got another show joining the Moto One Podcast Network. We're all pretty excited about that. Well, I think so. I think Moto Hop is going to join the Moto One Podcast Network. There's not really a lot to do. You know, it's probably easier, honestly, than joining the UEOS. I'd like you to have about 30 episodes under your belt, you know, or the president of the Moto One Podcast Network would. We'd like you to be willing to, you know, promote other Moto One Podcast Network shows. And it has to be about motorcycles. Yeah.
It's really the last one that a lot of podcasts are kind of struggling with, but
yeah. I mean, I would have an all Harley Davidson show on the network personally. You know, I mean, I've got some sway with the president. I could make that happen.
Yeah, why not?
All right. So what are we going to do on this episode? We're going to do best worst bike in the world this week. We are going to catch up on some news and emails, and then we'll probably sign out. This has got to be a shorter one. Because, well, it's Dr. Mike's birthday, and we got to get over to his house and do some boozing with him.
Yeah, we got to get this drinking done because we've got more important drinking to get to.
And apparently they have cheesecake, and I love me some cheesecake over there at their house. So, okay, here we go. Let's get into it. This is Best Worst Bike in the World this week. This is the segment, if you're a new listener, where Swigs and I, not our guest, have chosen a motorcycle each. We don't know what each other have chosen. It's always a surprise. Remember, it's really just a fun way to look at a couple motorcycles in a light that you might not normally look at them. And if you have thoughts, questions, feelings, concerns about that, Swigs, what do?
I don't know what they do nowadays. Sorry, I wasn't listening.
Well, preferably you send an email to contact@nocomotopodcast.com, or if you're listening to the audio podcast, you click on send me a link in the show notes, or you can get really, really good at semaphore and then in a sort of like Batman villain type caper, take over a local news network and splice in footage of yourself semaphoring your message to us, and we'll probably see it on national news coverage.
That'll work too. Yeah.
There we go. All right, Swigs, you have best bike in the world this week.
I do.
All right, and are you ready to reveal it?
I am.
All right. And the best bike in the world this week is
the 1985 Honda Shadow 500.
We've covered a lot of shadows in a lot of different ways. I'm a fan of anything that says shadow on it.
Well, I am famously not.
Yeah. But you don't like 3-valve motors for some reason.
Well, it depends. So the problem is that the modern Shadow is... Okay, I'm trying to dodge the pun. It is greatly diminished from the brilliance that it once was. And here's how you know.
Isn't it's not a more affordable Magna?
Essentially, yes. So nowadays, the modern 750, you're getting kind of that like 47 horsepower. You've got all of its pretty basic stuff. It's not really doing much. It's a 5-speed chain drive.
The
This
modern Shadow is a Harley 883 that looks more like a Heritage. It does Harley Davidson Sportster things better than a Sportster.
Yeah, but it used to be superior. And that's where this bike comes in. So this bike is about, I want to say it's something like 80 pounds lighter than a 750 Aero. It's the same or slightly more horsepower, and it's a 6-speed shaft drive. And here's why. This motor came out of the same 1985 Ascot.
This is the Ascot motor? No.
The good one.
Well, I know there's a single and a twin, yeah.
The twin, yes. So for those who don't know, this particular motor, which is the VT500 motor, is actually just a brilliant engine. It's not super powerful, but what it was is really, really fuel efficient. A nice over square motor that produced decent power, somewhere on the range of 55 horsepower and like 35 foot-pounds of torque. Is always mated to a 6-speed transmission with a very generous overdrive gear. And the way that it was designed is Honda said, give me an engine that's almost as smooth as an L-twin and get the cylinders as close together as you can while still being able to fit a carburetor in the middle and not having to mount a carburetor and airbox off the side of the motor. And they came up with this. And so it's a V-twin, but it's also a relatively compact V-twin that you can get into a lot of different bikes. So this bike, despite the fact that it is now 40 years old, basically gets the same or better fuel efficiency from a Honda Shadow Aero, makes the same horsepower, has an extra gear and is shaft drive, and wait, did I say it was 100 pounds lighter?
I don't remember.
But it's like 100 pounds lighter, and at the same time, it has it's a relatively modern design. So it's airbox in the tank and then tank lower down. It's basically superior in every single way from a design that got cut down and then was left to just stagnate itself for a couple decades.
Its biggest drawback is, except for the Comstar wheels, from 15 yards, it can be easily mistaken for a Virago. Which is a big downside for you, but I've softened on the Virago a lot.
So
there's a guy at work driving a 750 Virago in right now with wizards and dragons painted all over it. And it's fantastic. It is perfect. It's so clean, and the custom paint and everything, and it just works perfect. I know it works perfectly because he rides it in every day, and there's not a drop of oil under the fucking thing, and it looks amazing. Swigs, I'm going to take a picture of this bike for you, and you're going to be like, if this was just the standard paint scheme for Viragos, you'll forgive everything else aesthetically about the Virago.
Okay, maybe. We'll see about that. But actually, this bike is significantly more compact than you would think. Because those cylinders are, I think it's only like a 52-degree V-twin. So it's actually pretty compact. It's got a significantly shorter wheelbase than you would expect out of an equivalent even for that cruiser design, and you can see like your butt is right up over that rear wheel. Um, it's actually a lot more nimble as a cruiser, even though it kind of pulls off the cruiser aesthetic. Um, but ultimately, you know, yes, right now the Shadow 750 was meant to kind of be a Sportster 883 that's not as loud with more reliable and better fuel efficiency. But we already had something superior to it 40 years ago. And I think it was a case of, well, this bike actually did go through quite a few. The Honda Shadow
Well,
has gone
adjusted for
through.
inflation, what's the price? Because if you look at the price of a Honda Aero right now, that's the big magic trick that the Honda is pulling off right now.
Well, there's one of these.
For an entry-level V-twin that does Sportster 883 things with Sportster
I know that there is
883
one of
tech,
these available in town for $750.
right, no, but I'm saying in 1985, what did this cost? And then let's adjust that for inflation.
We can check that real quick.
Because I'm guessing, shaft drive adds cost. Although I think currently a Honda Aero is shaft drive.
Aero's chain, isn't it?
There's definitely a shaft drive, a Honda Shadow of some kind.
The 500 was. There was a 700 that was. And there was the 1100 that was.
You think the current Shadow isn't? Well, I don't think they're doing the Phantom anymore. That was just a blacked out one.
I can check if the current one.
Yeah, check on that for me, because I want to say it's still shaft drive. I think
it is shaft drive, yeah.
Yeah, that's been kind of a key thing of the Shadow thing. They can look at like new riders and be like, it's shaft drive. You'll outgrow this bike before you even have to worry about the chain and maintenance with that. Like, just put oil in it for the next 20,000 miles and you're fucking fine.
Yeah. But yeah, ultimately though, the point is, well, some of the things I would like to say about it is that, the Shadow the Shadow line has kind of gone through a lot of turmoil. Because it had to go through the whole chicken tax debacle, and have its top models taken off and go down to a 700. And then, they made the Magna because they're like, well, fuck you. If we can only have 700 cc's,
Right.
we'll put a V4 in it. Then they had to go through the gas crisis.
Well, they didn't really do a Magna, but they did. They did the Shadow Sabre, which is a very strange mashup of a Magna and I don't know. But it's also kind of like the Nighthawk, like, started overeating. I don't know. That's a weird bike. It's sort of the gravitational center of everything Honda was doing in 1987.
Yeah.
If you took like the CBR 1000F and the Shadow and the Magna and it all even like the CBX a little bit, it all just morphs into a Shadow Sabre.
Yeah, and ultimately the weird thing started happening where, obviously after the chicken tax ended for motorcycles, they started making bigger displacements again, but they kind of started getting less sophisticated and like bigger with longer stroke motors, and everything kind of sat around that 55 horsepower.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think the original Shadow 1100 was like that 75, 80 horsepower, but then they kind of started going down again. But like, they definitely have never added more power, and they've kind of gotten a bit more basic over time.
Yeah.
Less sophisticated than this. And now, something to keep in mind is that when you look at the specs for this, and you look at like the wheelbase and kind of all, you think about how advanced this kind of was for the time, and how sophisticated the motor was for what's a pretty small displacement bike. Uh, Really, if you just swap out that V twin, that VT 500 for the 500cc parallel twin, this is essentially a Rebel 500. This has kind of been that sort of that the Honda metric cruiser model and pattern, which is now going up to the 1100. So this bike and its kind of design philosophy has gone through the stage of, well, we're not just going to make a copy of a Harley Davidson. We're going to make something better. It's going to be liquid cooled and super sophisticated, and it's going to get decent power. It's going to be over square. And then at a certain point, they just said, fuck it. We'll play your game, and we'll kind of simplify, and we'll go bigger displacement for no fucking reason, and we'll make it heavier. And they kind of followed in the shadow of Harley Davidson for a while. And then they kind of went and made the Rebel, the new Rebel, and it's taken off again. And somewhere in Honda headquarters, there is a design engineer who's been working on the Honda Shadow line for the last 40 years. And I guess like every couple weeks, they've probably got like a soundproof booth for him to go into and just scream, what the fuck do you people want? Why did this idea that failed 40 years ago, like now is one of the most popular bikes we sell?
Meanwhile, Honda's going like, can you give us a different shade of black? Can you make it more matte? Right? That's all that's happening. So here's a thought. And okay, I'm starting to get on board with this idea of the Shadow kind of lost its way a little bit. Because you know what other line of metric cruisers started with exactly this same philosophy and has gone through to this day with an unbroken chain of that exact philosophy and is a cult favorite and still a big seller? The Kawasaki Vulcan.
Mm-hmm.
The Kawasaki Vulcan, because look, we have a little bit of air fins here, but it's still mostly liquid cooled. You know, overhead valve and shaft drive and all those things. And famously, the Vulcan is always like 60 to 70 horsepower, no matter what size the engine. They just do it at lower revs and with more torque as the engines get bigger. Because in a very Honda kind of move, Kawasaki was like, why does a cruiser need to make more than like 70 something horsepower? And 60 something's enough. Let's shoot for that zone, and we'll just keep giving you more torque. That's fine. It'll still hit 100 miles an hour, and carry you and your wife and all your luggage with 60 to 70 horsepower. It's absolutely fine. We'll just give you more torque, and we'll make this machine unbelievably easy to maintenance. And if you said to someone these days, like, oh, what's the best cruiser, big V-twin cruiser outside of a Harley Davidson in terms of value and reliability, they'd say Vulcan before Shadow 100 times in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And when I look at this, I don't actually see a whole lot of Honda Shadow. I see a lot of Kawasaki Vulcan.
Yeah, I mean, if you replace the rear drum with a disc and you put fuel injection on this, like, this could be this could be like a mid-2000s bike.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, not with the styling, but yeah, essentially.
But otherwise, I mean, yeah, it's a fairly power-dense V-twin. It's got a 6-speed transmission. Like, most of the stuff on this bike, I mean, you'd have to like upgrade the shocks and I don't know if people really go for the Comstar wheels anymore, but like,
I love them. I know people hate them. I love them.
I love them too. But yeah, I mean, this is what we had in 1985. And now they're selling arrows. Like,
Well, again, the Arrow's a perfectly good bike. It's just the Shadow mission, it seems, has changed drastically from what...
Well,
Well, not
yes,
drastically, but it's changed from
and
what
this
this
is
is.
why that senior Honda engineer is losing his mind, because the biggest problem was that he made the Shadow 500 too good, and what Americans actually wanted was less.
What that guy at Honda probably wants to make is something like a Harley-Davidson Sportster S at 3/4 the cost.
Right.
Or something like a Vulcan 900. Somewhere in there between those two, yeah. Okay, yeah, I don't have a whole lot else to say here. We kind of want to get this episode moving.
But ultimately, yeah, just to kind of summarize, this recontextualizes the Shadow range for me and kind of where it came from. And it does explain where it evolved into and why it kind of hit a dead end.
Mm-hmm.
But
okay,
yeah.
All right, we're ready to move on to the worst bike in the world this week.
Let's do it.
This is going to be a visual feast for, a feast for the eyes. Here we go. And the worst bike in the world this week is the Scoot Coupe. Like so many of our legendary worst bikes in the world this week, this is another vehicle that answers a question no one ever asked, which is, what if the Polaris Slingshot wasn't categorized as a motorcycle? What if it was categorized as a moped? Let's let that sink in. Just understand that deep in your bones. Have you found one yet?
Yeah.
Scootcoupe.com is quite a thing.
This is like straight out of 2001. This is
something else. It's more like some sort of, it looks like a theme park roller coaster car than it does an actual vehicle.
It does.
Like if you look up, like, when a roller coaster tries to look like the coaster cars are like, minis or like ski-doos or something, right? It looks like that. It's like, it's like a race car bed with scooter wheels on it. So
I
this
need some
is
specs on this.
So it comes in two flavors basically. So it's kind of okay. This is a 3-wheeled vehicle, 2 seats side by side.
This one of my favorite things to see is when I'm buying a vehicle, a road legal vehicle,
right?
To see as seen on TV as part of the advertising material.
So it's like a little baby Polaris Slingshot essentially, but it's kind of round and bulbous. It is not, as Frank Zappa would have us say, fast and bulbous. This is rather slow and bulbous. So it's got a single wheel in the back, right? And it's got like 2 little roll bars behind the headrest for some sort of safety thing, so you don't need helmets or whatever. I don't know. It's got a little windscreen, so you don't need eye protection or something. You can just get in it. And the vast majority of these are powered by a Piaggio 50 or 49cc 4-stroke scooter engine. So these are primarily used in beach towns, resort towns, things like that. There's a few of them up in Estes Park, for example. So you would rent this and just putt around at 30 miles an hour with your wife, girlfriend, kids, whatever, going like, look at this neat thing. But the part that's really kind of unbelievable is rather than a steering wheel, it has scooter handlebars. And rather than a brake pedal, it has front and rear brake handles. Which in this setup, when you just have 2 side-by-side seats, right? Because let me visualize the problem here. When you need to turn left in traffic, you need to be able to roll the wheel or palm it In this, you can't just turn like that, right? So even though the thing is 6.5 feet long and it's capable of making a very tight turn, in practice, its turning radius is for shit. So
Yeah, I
you
can
have
see
a
that.
hand throttle and hand brakes when you should just have a fucking gas pedal and a steering wheel and proper turn signals.
Yeah, there's nothing stopping you from just routing the wire brake to a foot pedal.
Nothing at all. Nothing at all. And not only that, like you've got these handlebars, but you're not doing any counter steering. You're just moving it, right? So
Oh no,
not
the gallery isn't working. Oh.
oh, but not only that, it also, because you don't counter steer with the handlebars, it has all the same steering problems as a sidecar rig.
Yeah. I just think somebody
And you're
needs
also
to.
not centered in the vehicle. You're off to the side like you are in a Polaris slingshot or a car.
Yeah. You know like how Triumph made that satirical like documentary video about like the Triumph Rocket 3 and like how they make them and it's a total spoof video.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody needs to make a slightly more serious one at the Piaggio factory. And it's going to be done in the style of like David Attenborough narrating a bunch of sea turtles being born and the mad dash across the sand to get into the ocean and all the predators picking them off. And it's just like, for the more successful ones, they'll make it into a Piaggio Liberty.
Right.
The ones that are a little bit slow may become a Nippy or a scoot coupe.
Yeah. Now, they do make
Or an ape.
They do
Or,
make...
sorry, Ape.
Ape. Oh, God. I didn't know that it was called the Ape until we were talking to Phil.
Yeah.
And well, I guess I did. I had heard it like 10 years ago. It's called the Ape, and it completely disappeared from my memory. And I was like, fuck. I'm a person now that knows it's called the Ape, and I like myself less now for knowing that. Anyway,
Yeah, but
there's a 150.
Piaggio 50
hold on.
motors really do have to run the gauntlet just to make it into any sort of respectable vehicle.
It seems that way sometimes. So the 150 version of this is like the 150 version that makes it into like a 150 Primavera and shit. And it makes even this big tub of a vehicle, go 50 to 55 miles per hour. Probably takes a little bit longer to get there than it does on a standard Vespa, but there's a couple of those in Hawaii, and that was my primary experience with this. I did not operate it on the street, but when we rented scooters in Honolulu 2 years ago, they had a couple of these. And I sat in it and just kind of like took it forwards and backwards and was just like, oh, this is because the guy's like, because we had to like wait for like the people that were renting the buddies to bring them back or something. Because I was like, oh, we're gonna have the two buddy 170s for sure. Out of all, he's like, you don't want like the 300 or like the Bergman or whatever. I'm like, no, we want buddy 170is, absolutely, right? And he's like, well, how about like the scoot coupe? I'm like, and my instinct was to tell him to go fuck himself, but I was like, let me just sit in this for a joke. Let me just, and it's like, and the seats are hard. Like it feels like a roller coaster seat. It really does, except like a sketchy roller coaster. There's not much padding. It's not a seat like it is in a car. It's a plastic bench with like a little 1/4 inch of foam padding on it. It's bullshit. But
I am certain that this is like a stolen mold off of like a child's electric like car that runs off a car battery that's been recycled like from a Chinese factory.
now I think all of these vehicles that are not owned by like a vacation rental company are 100% owned and operated by scooter rental places in resort and, sort of destination locations, right? That's the thing. But who that possesses a motorcycle license is gonna actually go for this?
Well,
It
I did
doesn't
notice
present
that on
any
the
advantage because, again, if you're in a resort location, parking's a bitch, which a scooter solves, right?
well, apparently
Traffic's a
they're
bitch. You can lane split potentially and things like that. Scooter solves, right? I guess this does have a fuel efficiency advantage like a scooter.
I'll tell you what it is. Well, for one thing, on the Scoot Coop website, dead center of the screen is the buy a fleet option.
Right. Yeah.
Front on the home page. And I think the logic here is this is similar to like buying a fleet of golf carts.
Mm-hmm.
But very, very slightly more legitimate. And what this is
I think you
if
open up a place selling these to the places that selling luxury golf carts across the street, and you're out and you're competing for the same retirement community.
essentially, yes. Because I think the idea here is, one, these vehicles are cheap as shit. And two, less horsepower, less liability.
Maybe I.
So if somebody gets really drunk renting one of these and crashes into something, it's going to be less damage than doing it in probably even a golf cart or in anything like a small car or like flying off the road. Like, I mean, it's low to the ground as well. I think it's literally just like, how can we give people the fewest number of chances to seriously fuck up?
It's an illusion of safety though, because
Oh yeah,
like yes, I guess it has seat belts. It has like a harness thing, like a fucking slingshot or whatever. But there's no doors, right? There's no actual roll cage. There's just these like hoops behind you, and I'm not aware because it's like categorized as either a motorcycle or a moped. So there is no governing body that says that those hoops behind your head have to take any weight or pressure whatsoever. It's completely
absolutely.
unregulated.
Right. But
They're probably not even attached to the frame.
right, but here's the there is one part of this that probably works out really well, and I'm sure it was entirely by accident. You go to Hawaii or you go to some like fucking sandals resort on an island and you want to get around on one of these, and you know it's basically a lawless. It's absolutely lawless in terms of road rules. And you think, oh, we'll just rent one of these. This is great. We can get in with the wife or the girlfriend, and then we can go around the island. And like, I don't need to try this out. This must be the easiest thing to drive in the world. I can drive a car. I can probably ride a motorcycle. What's going to be the issue here? And then what happens is you get into it, and the first time you get into it is to drive off the lot. Because how much consideration do you put into a rental option like this? Absolutely none.
When you rent them in Honolulu, you are 1 block away from Waikiki Beach. And that is the main road like you're going to be taking to get fucking anywhere. So you are pulling off of this right onto the drag.
Right. But then you get in, and while you're trying to pull out of the parking lot, you realize this is fucking sketchy, actually. I need to reassess. And now, like, you've had this big shock. You're already committed to the rental, and you realize this is actually really fucking sketchy. So I need to slow down and be careful.
Well, slowing down's not a problem.
Right.
It ain't too quick.
Right. But now, like, you're put into this safety mindset of, like, my God, this thing's a fucking death trap. I need to pay attention, and I need to take this slow. So maybe it actually works out really well because you kind of have that first kind of, like, heart-stopping moment when you realize, oh, this thing doesn't turn the way I think it does after you've already committed to it.
Now, there are 3 problems that this does solve. One, it's got a trunk, which is actually a pretty decent size. You could probably fit a decent sized beer cooler and a couple backpacks in the trunk of it. So, you're on vacation, whatever, and you're lugging beach shit around and cameras and whatever else, right? Towels, sandals, and shit.
Mhm.
It does solve that. Although the milk crates that we got on the back of the Buddy 170s took care of that for us. But I'm also a professional, and I asked them, have you got some bungee nets? And they're like, oh, yeah. Right? Um, but the second problem it solves is sort of like in they look cutesy, so like it may be a bit of a thing to get your wife or girlfriend to be like, oh yeah, we're gonna ride like a motorcycle around or a scooter around. It looks cutesy, and the fun colors that they do come in fantastic colors. More scooters and motorcycles should come in these colors. They're super fun. Like they're colored like 70s muscle cars, like bright green, yellow, and red and blue and shit. Um, the last thing that it solves is because it's going to be always in a destination place, either a golf resort or beach town or whatever. They are much harder than a regular scooter for locals to steal.
That is a good point, actually. Yeah.
So it does solve those problems, but I don't think it's worth the trade-offs. So for example, when we rented the Buddy 170s, they gave us some gigantic ass chains, and they were like, chain it up and chain them up, to each other or to a thing, and then take a picture. And as long as you do that, if they get fucking stolen, hey, you did your due diligence. We'll come out and bring you 2 more scooters, and we'll accept the complete loss. Just put these fucking chains on there. It took 30 fucking seconds. Was not a problem. Right? No matter where we were. There was a sign, a parking sign, a stop sign, a whatever. There was always something to do it to. It was not a problem. Again, as far as taking shit with you, I don't think that a top box or a milk crate is a particularly difficult thing for a scooter to have. And as far as like the fun factor goes, well, buddies do come in some fun colors. That orange, for example, right? And as far as looking cutesy, Claire fell in love with that fucking buddy, and we're gonna get a Buddy 170 for her at some point because, yeah. So even though it does have some advantages and it looks like sort of a great thing, there's a reason these aren't like a common thing to rent, and people still just rent golf carts wherever they go.
Well,
if you need to rent something like
well,
this.
I mean, it's still going to be problematic if you are still in a first world country somewhere where there are vehicles expected to do like 65 on the highway, and you're expected to just merge into traffic and deal with it. You're probably going to struggle.
At a 154 stroke, it's not highway legal.
So I mean, nowadays that kind of varies by state, but
it's still usually 150 for 2 strokes and 250 for 4 strokes is still how most places are. But yeah,
But also you just wouldn't want to.
No. I would sooner take the fucking gyro on the highway, especially the 50cc. Yeah, the gyro was faster than these. The gyro did an honest 35.
The only thing I will say in this thing's favor, only because it's an aspect that I think more vehicles need to do, and definitely some more scooters can do it. And although scooters need to do it the most and are doing it the best so far, but it needs to go a little bit further, is that there is no hint of any sort of aggressive design in this bodywork whatsoever, which is exactly what it needs to do for its segment.
It's like the front half looks a little bit like a Volkswagen Beetle, and the back looks like a Messerschmitt.
Kinda, yeah.
So, when you want to say unintimidating vehicle, these are two go-to words, right?
Yeah, like I think the new Honda CUV does a pretty decent job of not just being like super aggressive in its design.
Yeah. If this came out in like Sweden in 1968 or something, it would have been applauded as one of the greatest innovations of all time. And
Bjork would have had one.
exactly.
Like,
Yeah, exactly. You know
well,
what?
she's
Bjork
Icelandic,
probably,
but
well, yeah, but I'll
yeah,
bet you she does own one anyway.
probably.
Right. Two of them. Um, yeah, it's ridiculous. I don't know why. I don't know how. Here's something completely unrelated. I'm officially ending this, but I just had a very bizarre thought enter my head. Um, Here is a two-wheel drive motorcycle setup that I've never thought of before.
I'm listening.
What if you had a two-wheel drive vehicle that had a rear-wheel drive, swing arm motor like a scooter, and a front center hub steering with a swing arm motor in the front?
Wait, what kind of motor on the front?
The same.
Well,
Well, I guess you could make it smaller. What if you put a 250 CVT on the back and a 150 CVT on the front? Because you don't need as much power on the front.
I'm trying to.
Like that arm that comes out on your scooter.
Oh, just have a whole nother motor in it?
What if that was another motor?
I can't immediately tell you why that's a terrible idea, but it feels like a bad idea.
Well, the only thing that's complicated is you have to take these relatively simple CVT motors and then computerize them to sync up the power together.
I mean, you're gonna have you're gonna have to have like a weird universal joints, a really strong one in the front that'll like be able to swivel. But I guess you kind of already have that in most. It's just got to be more aggressive. But the weight's gonna be weird, but
But it's low.
slow down. Yeah, and if it's with hub center designs, it doesn't really dive anyway. So you might actually get more use out of the front brake. I mean, you've still
Piaggio, hire us.
I mean, you've still gotta put the actual cylinder somewhere. That's
Well, it's facing towards you.
okay, but
So you're going to want it liquid cooled.
yeah. Um,
Well, not necessarily. If it's not too large, it's definitely in a great spot to catch wind. So it could have an air scoop that brings air into it, and then it just comes out the back. That's not a big problem. In fact, that could work to your advantage. You could have a scoop inside like the rear, so you could have like a radiator where a radiator normally is on a motorcycle, and kind of around it, like it scoops some air and takes it down over the front cylinder. So the front cylinder could be air cooled by that, and the air just kind of comes in, gets like directed down over the cylinder and straight out the back. So you're taking wind that the bike would have caught or would have become turbulent air and just giving it a smooth, direct path down, out, under, and behind the bike, reducing drag to some effect.
right, but that means you can't. You'd also have to have the rear motor hanging off the other side like a Vespa, unless you had one air cooled and one liquid cooled.
Why isn't one air and one liquid cooled?
I don't know about that. That sounds.
You could probably make them both liquid cooled. It just sounds like maybe just don't run the radiator.
I'm just thinking of
them.
all the insane design decisions you could make with this. Like,
Oh, this wouldn't be cheap. I'm just saying
you could just have like an air box in the platform, in the floorboards, and have like one carburetor feeding two cylinders, one front and one back, completely independently. Like, you've got to have two. You definitely have to have two, throttle bodies, and then, but also like, do you go independent throttles or?
That's why I said you got to have a crazy, like you got to have crazy wheel sensors and IMU that figures out how to distribute the power between the two. So you're going to have a throttle. Your throttle would have to be just straight up for the power to your back wheel, and then as you like lose traction or need power, like on hills or like right off the line for torque or something, that front motor kicks in or out just on computer control.
How much R&D and like electronic,
Or again, I'm game.
How much programming are we doing, or is this?
I'm game to go, hey, give me a regular throttle for the rear engine and a thumb throttle for the front engine, and I'll figure it out. I'm game.
I would go slightly easier. I would have like I'd have both cable operated and have one throttle that pulls both, and then another throttle on the other hand that just pulls one. So that you could do it so like if you need to go for a single drive, like you can just do that. But if you need both, you could also do that. But like you don't need to operate both motors independently. Like completely independently.
Or it could be like a linked brake system where the front wheel is just always giving like, 28% power that the back one is, right? Whereas, you want like most like 3/4 of your braking essentially up front and the rest of the back. You could just do, inverse of that. Whatever the back one's doing, the front one's moving with like, same RPM, but a quarter of the torque or something.
Whatever mechanic gets saddled with the warranty recalls on this bike is going to fucking shoot himself in the mouth.
Well, the big thing that would kill this idea is it's absolute shit for fuel efficiency.
That's one of the reasons that'll make this never happen.
Hey, I can dream. Anyway, I think we should get caught up on some emails and things. I know we've got stuff. I don't know what.
We probably do through Patreon, and we probably do through the Discord. Actually, there's a Discord topic to talk about here.
Okay.
Just a little UEOS little tribunal here.
For new listeners, because I know we've got like a couple hundred new listeners from mentions from other podcasts since Vintage Days. The UEOS is the United Earth Oceans and Scooters. It's our Sequest DSV based scooter club, of which more listeners than you might think are members. And actually, that reminds me, John, where are your 2 pages? Or did he send them?
He sent them.
Oh, excellent. Yeah. We get to do another induction.
We do. I also finally got around to getting my Sequest action figure. It took me a while to get that.
Oh, which one did you get?
The best one.
The Dolphin?
No, the Regulator.
Oh, that's good. I haven't found it yet, but I want a Doctor what's his face Doctor oh my gosh, why am I blanking on his name? It's the most random action figure, and it's like one of the rarer ones. He's like a villain from the first season. He was in one episode. And they meant to make him like a recurring villain, and they just never got around to it. But this guy got an action figure. It's not Dr. Z. It's not Dr. K. It's Dr. Why am I blanking on? Oh gosh, it's been a long day. I did like family fucking pictures at like 8 a.m. today. It's so.
There's actually one other thing that I want to bring up, which I think we should do, but I'll get to the first one, which is. For the officer ranks within the scooter club, do they have to be actual officer ranks that were mentioned in the show? Or do we accept general uh, naval titles.
I'm accepting general naval titles because this is in this world, the Sequest is part of the UEO, which is separate from, but the United States still exists in Sequest. So there is theoretically some sort of United States Navy in Sequest, but the UEO is like, what if the UN was 100 times as important as the UN is, and it was only on the water, right? So Sequest is technically has its own, like in the lore of Sequest, has its own ranking system, but as the show goes, it seems to mirror the U.S. Navy exactly.
Well, if we're saying this is kind of a whole like international order, I don't know if the USSR still exists in the UEOS in the Sequest universe.
Well, let me think.
But
The USSR ceased to exist in 94? 93?
wasn't it like 89 was the... Isn't it like 1989 the Berlin Wall fell?
I think it, like, I don't know. Maybe 93 was like when it went like, they were like, oh, we're democratic now, but they weren't.
1989. So...
Okay, that's USSR, but okay, maybe it's 93 that they were like, we're democratic now.
Oh,
but they
technically,
weren't.
okay, technically 91.
There we go. I
Okay.
thought it was 90 something.
Close.
Yeah. The Berlin Wall fell, but then they had this like thing in the early 90s where they're like, Westerners, we just like yous.
I love that the Gorbachev Pizza Hut advertisement, like commercial.
My favorite is when he was on the Super Mario Brothers Super Show.
Oh yeah, that's
They got this crazy Gorbachev impersonator on the Super Mario Brothers Super Show.
no.
And-
I'm talking about the
and he's
actual.
trying to steal their pizza sauce recipe to help bring down the West. And then, like, weirdly in the middle, they have him, like, doing work. Like, he's, like, front loading, like, the Zelda cartoon that's coming up afterwards and shit like that. It's on YouTube, and it is 100% worth your time to watch.
Right. No, but I mean the actual, like, completely real Gorbachev Pizza Hut commercial. Have you seen it?
No, I don't think so.
It's kind of amazing.
That's probably something we can play on here. There's no way that that's still under copyright.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't got the sound figured out, so it's going to be a nightmare.
Oh, then never mind.
but-
People can look it up.
But no,
on their
there's
own.
this is an actual, like, Russian Pizza Hut commercial featuring Gorbachev. Talking about, like, the fall of communism is like, what did Gorbachev ever give us? And, like, they go through all these things and, like, all the things they've lost. He says, he gave us Pizza Hut. And they're like, you're right, he did. And then they, like, turn, and Gorbachev's just there in the corner, like, how's it going? It's like, all right, good job.
That's like that scene in Canadian Bacon where Alan Alda is like trying to get the Russians to like start up the Cold War again, and they're like, "We're still working on universal indoor plumbing. We want MTV or what's the and his
VH1.
VH1."
Yeah.
So good.
In any case,
For you younger listeners, Canadian Bacon, also well worth your time. I dare say Alan Alda and John Candy's best work.
yeah,
That includes MASH and Spaceballs. Not Spaceballs.
possibly Michael Moore's greatest work.
Well, no, it does. No, sorry. MASH, Spaceballs, and there was another thing I was thinking of. Oh, Uncle Buck. Sorry. Anyway.
Yeah,
I can't remember where we were now.
Well, this is all a tangent because I was about to pick, because technically right now in the UEOS we are both captains, which I don't think works too well.
No, that's not your rank.
What is my rank?
Petty Officer Master Chief.
Oh. Is that my rank?
Or is it Master Chief Petty Officer? I think it's Petty Officer.
I don't feel
Master
like I
Chief.
ever selected this.
Yeah, I selected it for you.
Yeah, we're not doing that. I would like to be.
You don't want to be Master Chief. Your shirt's already made.
That is true, but okay. Look,
That's an awesome fucking rank.
is that an actual rank?
Yeah.
Is it real?
Yes, it is real.
Okay, I have not put a lot of thought or consideration into this.
You have Master Chief's rank. That's not his name, it's his rank.
Right. No, but I mean, like, was that actually a...
Yes, it's a real thing in the Navy. It's the highest position for NCO.
Okay.
So it's not like you're an enlisted
okay.
man.
Yeah.
You're still an officer. And it's in fact you're the highest, non-commissioned officer. So you're like a step below admiral or something. I don't think
Okay.
I don't think you're as high as a captain. You might be like one rung below captain.
Okay. Well, as you can tell, this is
You're
definitely...
standing on the bridge, is the point.
This hasn't been top of mind for me in terms of what I actually was. But I would like to change my rank.
Wait, this is unprecedented. Okay.
I would like to be the political officer on the ship.
Oh, I didn't even know. Wait, is that a rank?
It is in the Soviet Union.
I mean, I have no reason to not allow it, which is sort of the default position of the UEOS.
We can't have a capital ship on the water off on its own without a member of the party on board, right? Like, it'd be disastrous.
No. Okay.
All right. I didn't realize... I completely forgot about that. I'll have to consider this. All right, so if we are going to allow non-DSV ranks, or ranks not specifically mentioned in DSV...
Yeah, just because it's not specifically mentioned, I need evidence that there's not a Petty Officer Master Chief in Sequest DSV in order to discount it, really.
That's true. I guess we could also have... Let's see. I guess we could just go with general Western U.S. titles plus whatever's mentioned in DSV, and that kind of works.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, after we read, do the induction here for John into the UEOS, I have something that I've been sitting on to tack on to the end of it, which I think will be an especially uplifting and moving segment for this podcast. This will be a very special episode of Noco Moto.
Ah, shit. It's logged me out of the email.
Oh my god.
Wait, what did I sent it as...
I'm going to look up some of the recent fan mail then.
You do that.
From the text. So there's a couple good ones in here. We didn't get a huge amount of them, but there are some that we need to catch up on. More fan mail. Right. So remember I was saying that Mike Stewart, UEOS member who made us the shirts, and I forgot to bring my koozie down here as well. Is my koozie over by you? I thought we had some koozies down here.
Not that I can see.
That means Claire took him upstairs. Anyway, we have these awesome koozies that he made us that we should mail out to some UEOS members. Remember I said, oh, Mike must have some sort of weird military history in his past? That's because he told me and I fucking forgot. His wife's actually in the Navy. So he said, hey, boys, it's Lieutenant JG, as in Lieutenant Junior Grade, not JG Mike Stewart. I can't outrank my wife, an actual naval officer. So there we go. So right before we went to whatchamacallit, Vintage Days, what's turning into one of my favorite texters, our Harley Davidson fan from Alabama, says, seems like this is the guy that said like it's a great show when we're not jerking each other off over scooters. He said, seems like you tried to slip on by, but I remember hearing this nonsense episode before. Nearly every word you spoke about Harley upgrades is total BS. Fake news. You looked at website or catalog or whatever and jumped to a lot of ill-gotten conclusions, 4 exclamations. You should grow up, still love the show, and wish it and you great success. This text is pure art. I'm like Skilly Airy or whatever his face is from Amadeus, looking over Mozart's work. I'm like, these are first drafts. Like this is this is poetry. I'm so into it. Okay, and then we've got oh, this is good. Remember Matt the paramedic from like first season of the show, maybe second?
Yes.
He says, modern Knight Rider's bike is the fucking Triumph Rocket. Fuck, that's obvious, you fucking fucks. Yeah. That would be the hero bike. No, it makes sense. It makes sense. I still love my idea of like the two warring tribes being Harley and Indian, but the hero bike, the CBX of today is probably the Rocket 3. In terms of just this big, ludicrous engine bike.
It could be that, or it could just be like a Goldwing with knobby tires. It's hard.
Because remember, it's not that like the CBX was the fastest bike in the world when it came out.
Yeah.
It was just the bike with the most ridiculous engine. And that has to be the Rocket 3R today. Just for a ridiculous engine bike.
It is.
It's an H2R or it's a Rocket 3. It's at least between the two. And I think the American public...
It could be the H2R if it was only shot from the side that had the turbo on it. Or the supercharger on it.
The public has no idea what a fucking turbo looks like. They don't care.
Right, but you need some feature that actually stands out like in the shot.
So what that's going to be on a Triumph is the little like Union Jack logo shit that they work into like every bike. Like Triumph puts a Union Jack or like half of one at least on every fucking bike. And the general public is sort of going to be like, oh, it's a Triumph. I've kind of heard of that. Like, okay. And Triumph puts a lot of money into movie advertising. So it really fits. Our modern dragon fighter Lancelot character is riding a Rocket 3. But I still think the two tribes going to war are Indian and Harley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do think in the modern remake, our antagonist needs to have a fancy bike as well.
Maybe the antagonist rides the H2R.
That works, yeah.
Or maybe he brings back we get a little bit more attention on the Y2K. Is Y2K still in business?
I don't know.
Let's Google that real quick.
Well, like the fucking
now that the general public can actually see the fucking TV because we got a fucking proper recorder for it.
Two-speed. Where's the? The Wikipedia.
Is the company still in existence? Does it say was or is? Well, look at the thing there. Production to present.
To present.
Yeah. The Y2, you could still buy a Y2K, everybody.
The notion of like owning and maintaining a Y2K,
which is a Rolls-Royce helicopter engine.
like in a gypsy lifestyle, just on the back of a fucking RV, is that's just immersion breaking. That's not.
Oh, there's nothing else about Knight Riders that's immersion breaking. You're right, Swigs. Oh, stupid me. Okay. Oh,
Knight Riders was kind of like one of the best and like consistent in passing the Moto Bechdel test.
it was also. Well, I have to say, you talk. I joke about it being immersion breaking, but when people talk about verisimilitude in movies these days, I will say that Knight Rider, it takes like a few viewings to understand what the Knight Rider's like world rules are. But once you watch it like 5 or 6 times and you understand that they know that there's a real world, but they've all agreed to ignore it for themes that go really deep into the movie that I don't have time for. The movie actually does a very good job of setting itself up, establishing rules, and then sticking to those rules. And that's kind of one of the biggest reasons that there are bad guys in the movie too. They step out of the little like fantasy world that they've all agreed to be in and be like talking about magic and horses and kings and dragons and shit. And they're like,
right.
Well, let's commercialize this. It's not supposed to be commercialized. It's supposed to be this fantasy world they're all living in, escaping the real world. So their big crime wasn't trying to make money. It was stepping out of the fantasy world to even talk to a lawyer. They have that one lawyer, but he like dresses up like kind of them and like, meets them on their terms. And so that's like kind of okay. It's sort of like a Christian Science relationship with medicine, right?
Or like an envoy during like the Japanese isolationist period. It's like, I'm going to step into your world, but I'm going to leave everything else behind. And
it's sort of like, when a Christian Science kid has cancer, they're like, well, we'll take him in for chemo if you can just call it a chemo blessing from God. Right? That's So anyway, you've got the emails pulled up yet? I really felt I filled a lot of time here for you to do that.
Yes, I have John's his tome of knowledge contribution brought up.
This is excellent.
All right, so he starts off and he tells us his favorite episode of Sequest is episode 5, season 1. And his favorite character is Lieutenant Commander Catherine Hitchcock.
Nice.
Solid choices. He says, all right, so it starts. Guys, let me tell you, don't let your kids start racing dirt bikes at age 13. You are opening yourself up for a world of confusion, disappointment, and possible financial ruin. We open on a Trubik 7-year-old receiving a Razor pocket rocket and riding the hell out of it. His dad thinks moving up to a PW50 would be a great step for him into the world of motorcycles. Dad acquires said PW50 from a rider acquaintance of his, and the now 8-year-old proceeds to trace light circles around every obstacle in the yard, slowly opening the throttle more and more until after a few months he starts exploring the top speed of his 50cc steed on open stretches and earns a disapproving frown from his mother, the first of many. The boy was 8 years old. Note this for later. The boy gets a CRF 110 for his 9th birthday. Dad thought this was a logical next step. Seemed like a capable bike for a child. It was fun to ride around the neighborhood. The boy at this point decides he wants to race. Seemed reasonable to start a little bit of racing. Some competition would be good for him. Dad asked a friend who raced enduro bikes about the boy starting to race on it. The friend stifled a laugh and said something along the lines of, "Yeah, that's just a play bike. You aren't serious, right?" It was at this point that Dad thought something might be amiss. Dad had never been a racer. No one in Dad's family had ever raced much of anything. No matter, the boy and Dad proceeded to visit a nearby riding park that had a nice-looking kids area. The bike is unloaded and the boy gears up. He is looking a little worried at all the strange sounds of ridiculously tiny two-stroke bikes buzzing around. The boy takes his first lap of the kids' track and is passed seemingly 100 times by everything ranging from 13-year-olds on Chinese pit bikes to 3-year-olds on 50cc Cobras that have a parent yelling at them in certain, parentheses, all corners to go faster. Dad is worried that the disparity in speed will cause some bad accidents, but it turns out dirt bike kids are pretty good at traffic. The highlight of the day is when the boy gets his first bit of air from a jump. Dad could tell he was exhilarated, and the boy would ask to return many times. Still, Dad noted the ages these kids were ripping around the track at. Kids who could barely walk were being put on capable race bikes that produced such annoying noises. Kids who were the boy's age were riding bikes that looked full-sized or close to it in Dad's eyes. They were fast too. Maybe the track was just stacked with fast kids. A few visits to that track and a few other tracks confirmed that there were a lot of kids who were already good at dirt biking. Really good. The kid is convinced the bike is holding him back. Dad gets him a used CRF 150F. You see, Dad is in over his head. Dad only knows how to take a dirt bike out to a park and ride trails. He has no idea that a 150F is an underpowered, overweight play bike. Oh well, the boy continues to practice at kids' tracks and starts to find out about local race series. The boy is now nearly 13. He convinces Dad he is serious about racing, and it's time to buy a race bike. After much shopping and research, they settle on a KX85. The boy wants a two-stroke. Dad thinks Kickstart only is ridiculous for 2023, but that's apparently how Japanese two-strokes roll. The internet says an 85cc is the right bike for his age. They buy a brand new KX25, get it home, and proceed to annoy the neighbors. Dad finds out the KX85 is at least as fast as his Honda CRF 250X.
Close to it, yeah. Depending on whose hands, they're pretty wicked. Our third brother has. Have you seen the fucking KTM 80?
I haven't seen the KTM, no.
It's ridiculous. Like, honestly, the only thing in between our nephew Oscar and death is how worn out those tires are. If those tires could actually hook up, like, fuck. Anyway, Ditch says he's pretty sure he's hit an honest 50 on dirt with him on it.
I believe it.
Yeah.
Says, let's see. Unexpected but cool. Also, the little 85cc is a lot to handle. It is light and responsive, but extremely touchy, and the power band is explosive.
Yeah, it's like there's about 1,200 RPM where the power is on that thing, yeah.
The boy turns 13 and enters his first real race that spring. He had attended a few practice sessions and noticed how much faster than him most of the field was, but he was undeterred. He proceeded to get buried for a few reasons that I will detail below. A few lessons I learned the hard way. Allow me to break kids' dirt bike racing down for you. Maybe I can offer some explanations that are not written anywhere. Much like damn near anything that has to do with dirt bike racing at the bigger tracks and series, this is knowledge that no one will ever tell you or document on, say, a website where you sign up for races. God forbid they, I'm going to assume that's Red Bull, but it says Red Bud, tell you basic stuff like, practice group 1 starts at 9 a.m., or you have to sign up online, but also you have to stand in line to get stickers that you signed up for, and you might also have to stand in line to get a transponder that you had to sign up online for, and you better do them in the right order that is not signified in any way whatsoever, or else love standing in lines. This is every dirt bike experience ever. This This is being a spectator at fucking Thunder Mountain
Yes.
is
Yeah.
a weird set of unwritten rules
Oh,
and
you weren't
procedures.
born with the knowledge of where the line for this is? Oh, you must be a fucking idiot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing is labeled. Yeah. There's no big, like, inflatable sign that says registration. No. There's just a dude standing there. Or maybe with his back to you. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not like dirt biking really needs a lot of barriers to entry to filter out the riffraff.
Right.
Like you already bought a 2-stroke dirt bike. Like you're already in the club. Why? Why?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Basically, dirt bike people need to get their shit together in organizing events.
They need to figure out banners. Like, we just need some poles and banners. That's it. That would go a long way.
And also, if you're gonna do an AMA race in Colorado in fucking July on a hillside that has no shade, maybe you should stock water.
Yeah, that
It
it was also like the first event after COVID.
yes, but I feel like water is pretty basic.
It is. Yeah. I don't think they were expecting that many people to show up. I think they were expecting a half-side crowd at best. Little did they know.
The consequences of overbuying water are not that dire.
Well,
Like-
okay. But I still don't think they were expecting a lot of people, so they were like, "Oh, we'll figure it out if it's not enough or something." But yeah, I do remember someone running around with Coors going, "There's plenty of water in Coors." Anyway, let's keep going.
All right. It says, anyway, once you get the sign-ups and endless waivers out of the way, you have to figure out what class your child should race in. Since my child is 13 and racing an 85cc bike, and look, there's a class labeled 85 SR 12 to 15, he should go in that one, right? No, you fool. Only if you want to see him crushed. You see, 85 SR 12 to 15 is a class full of kids that have been racing since they could stand. They have been on dirt bikes every weekend for the last 10 years, and they now race 85s to kill time before they race super minis or schoolboy 125s. What are those? Good luck finding a definition online on a race series website where one would sign up for a race. You better know tire size, specs, and CCs. You better know that mini trail is worlds away from 50 limited, and the kids racing 65 junior and are getting more air than the 40-plus class. No, obviously you enter the boy in 85C class, not 85A to B. Maybe he will get to race some 11-year-olds who just graduated from 65s, and will still grind him into the dust, but not so convincingly. And it goes like this for the rest of the racing season. The boy gets destroyed by kids who have been on serious race machines since the boy was on that PW50. Apparently, you have to start them around 4 years old if you want them to make it in amateur kids dirt bike racing. You should probably be out there yelling at them to go faster in corners. Or your child has to have the tenacity to be a backpack rider for 2 years and develop the skills to survive. And expect to throw a lot of money at bikes, tires, parts, trailers, camping gear, and entry fees galore. The memories, though, are priceless. Or they better be.
Excellent. So, John, yes, we have received these pages, and they're good. They are going into the Tome of Knowledge. He denounced the other series to us and everything else that was necessary for entry at the
At Mid-Ohio.
At Mid-Ohio. So we were just waiting on the pages. So he is now fully in the UEOS. But I want to mention something. I was
Well, also
on the
he has his
episode
bike
after
as well.
Yeah, he bought his Honda Aero 80. But I also wanted to say I don't know why I kept saying that Carter's name was Chris. I think just Chris Carter got into my head or something. But yeah, Carter doing those burnouts, winning and everything. Now, Carter doesn't technically himself own any motorcycles because he's too young and all that stuff. And, I didn't think, I'd like to extend something to Carter for being such a hero, right? Because we kind of said like him and John were sort of like MVP at Mid-Ohio. I would like to announce, and give out the first ever UEOS Jonathan Brandis Award to Carter for exemplary youth behavior becoming of a UEOS member, should he one day decide to become one. Yeah. Solid, yeah.
Yeah.
So he holds it until, another, takes it, right? Yeah, it could be it's not necessarily an annual award. It's just an award that, it's a trophy that's passed from one to another. I mean, he gets to keep his name on it, right? Essentially. But it's sort of passed one to the other. So he's the current holder and recipient of the UEOS Jonathan Brandis Award for exemplary youth behavior. And we hope that we get to give it out many more times. I think he sets the standard for what a Mid-Ohio or any UEOS, sort of adjacent youth should be, I think.
All right. While I'm skimming the emails here, we did get an email asking about the Discord link. Did you actually send John the Discord link?
I put the permanent Discord link in the show notes for every episode again, and I put it on the Patreon as a post that anybody can see. You don't even have to be a Patreon member. Oh, and we have a new Patreon member too. Nigel from the UK signed up as a free member, like 6 other people have since Vintage Days, but he's the only one of that group to then upgrade to a $1 a month, or I think in this case £1.50 a month as it translates from the UK to so he's still on a permit, but nonetheless a Patreon member, which we give huge respect to.
All right, we don't have to talk about this if you don't want to.
Well, how much time are we at?
An hour and 23.
Okay. Well, I think we should give this one a solid 90-minute cutoff, and then anything after that is actual Patreon.
All right. I think this will be pretty quick, because I don't want to actually talk about the event that much, because there's not that much information. And also, I want to talk more widely about a general concept. But we did get somebody mentioning something we all know, which is that Jixerbra had his crash.
Oh, yeah, and I hope everyone's sitting down. Yammy Noob jumped in real fast to make money off of it. Is anyone seeing a pattern here? I normally don't do this kind of thing, but I left comments on at least 3 Yammy Noob videos as Noco Moto podcast just going, what an asshole. Really, a guy that you claim to be good friends with is in the hospital. You're just gonna put up a video just saying that it happened, like when the whole fucking world knows about it, just so you'll get 300,000 whatever, and you'll make $250 fucking dollars off of a video. Fuck you, Yammy Noob.
I mean, okay, here's what I'll say.
He added nothing to the conversation.
Yeah. I mean, so there's a few things here which I'll say, which is, 1, I'm not shocked that Jixerbra crashed.
I don't think anyone is.
And 2, you are allowed to mock internet personalities in a way that you would not do to people that you actually know. You do have permission to do that.
Yeah, they're putting themselves out there. You have permission to mock us for shit. We're putting ourselves out there.
Yeah.
To be praised or mocked. That's how it works.
Yeah, I mean, because I think this has been a problem we've been trying that, like, society has not figured out in the last 30 years. Well, really kind of like the last 50 years, which is understanding the fact that people that are not close to you, conceptually in everybody's mind, is not a real person. Like, if somebody you don't know dies in a horrific accident, you don't have to be completely broken up over that. You don't have to freak out. You don't have to be sad for them. You don't have to, because if we had to have a 1 second or a tenth of a second mourning period for every person who died on the earth, we would all be completely paralyzed in an endless period of mourning.
Yeah, showing deference and reverence for every soul is a very millennial thing. And remember, Bruce from This Motorcycle Life in Vegas was, saying that our whole best bike, worst bike segment that we lead with is like, oh, let's praise something, let's knock something. And he was like, there's something very Gen X about that. And I was like, yeah, like we definitely identify that way more than current touchy-feely things. And also, it's fucking motorcycles. Why do we need to be all touchy-feely on a motorcycle show? There's plenty of places on the internet to go be touchy-feely.
Right. But also, like, because so many people will laugh at Jigsaw, and then there's going to be this contingent of people who are not spatially, temporally, like, attuned to what internet culture is, and, like, honestly weren't well adapted to TV either. Which is, look, somebody can say something brash and offensive, garish, about something that would be absolutely unacceptable about a person that you knew. But people online and people on TV and people in the newspaper are conceptually not real people. They're not people in your life. They're not people whose experience is tied to yours, and you cannot afford to give every celebrity, every known personality that you know, all the deference that you would give to a real person that you see on a regular basis in person. Like, that's how the world works.
Well, and every time that you do, you're just pretending, because no person has the bandwidth to do that for more than, like, 25 people.
Exactly. So, everyone who is saying, I can't believe you're saying this. This person got into a serious accident. Have you no soul? Do you have no heart? Go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
You are allowed...
Even within people I know, right? Like, I would say that, like, Phil Waters, is a friend of ours, right? Mm-hmm. I don't expect Phil to even know what my fucking birthday is, let alone remember it. We're not that close of friends. We're friendly. He can call me with shit when he's in town and all that kind of shit, right? But I don't have unlimited capacity for these giant friendships all over the place. I'm probably a little closer with Junkie.
And Phil's
I'm a lot closer
Phil's a
with
person
Junkie,
that you've met in person several times. But
right.
But there's
I'm saying, even to the level of people that I know in real life, like, it only goes so far. As people, we only have so much bandwidth.
Yeah. So when Jigsaw does something really fucking stupid and hurts himself, you can laugh and say, fuck that guy. And
because this is a person who videotapes himself doing extraordinarily risky things and puts it on the internet for praise and ridicule.
Yeah. And you can do the same to me as well.
Yeah.
Like, I probably don't know your name. I probably don't know your face. We spend no time together. And I'm a voice on the internet that you occasionally download, and that
hopefully regularly download.
Hopefully regularly. But yeah, you are allowed to have, because the whole world is now kind of getting into this whole parasocial relationship paradigm of, oh, I listen to you all the time, we must be friends. Well, we could be, but very likely not.
Right.
And It doesn't have to come with all of this
Right.
fake.
So the pushback on this idea is, well, no, we have this like online motorcycle community. You know, the idea of like communities and online communities and whatever, you know, the online scene. Well, it used to be like, oh, the scene, right? And then the scene turned into community, right? Like when I was in punk rock bands and honky tonk bands and stuff, we talk about the scene in, you know, whatever city. Like, oh, what's the punk rock scene in Cincinnati like? What's it like in Detroit? What's it like in Chicago? What's the scene? And then one day we stopped saying scene and we started saying community. And I never really got that memo, but everyone started doing it. And for a little while I was sucked. I was like, oh, we have communities now. Oh, that's cool. But nothing actually changed. We just started calling it a community and then assuming that there was like some sort of extra goodwill or meaning towards that. But there isn't, because again, as people, there's only so much bandwidth we have.
Right.
What people say on forums is just what bored people say on forums, because it turns out the majority of what's put on forums is input from what the internet's really good at. It turns out what the internet is best at isn't getting money from you, isn't sucking up all of your attention. I mean, these are things that it's very good at. What the internet is best at is catching you at your worst.
Yeah, that's probably true.
You're like, you know what? Like, I almost never comment on anything, but at my worst, I just left a bullshit angry comment on something. Damn it. They got, you know, and you don't realize till the next day, that was stupid. Why did I even do that? I called a guy a clown on Facebook Marketplace 2 days ago because he wanted $700 for a broken scooter without a title. And I was like, I'll give you $100 for parts and you'll be lucky to have it. And he was like, no, you won't. Please don't message me again. And then I called him a clown. And I don't know why I did that. It was fucking stupid. But you know what the internet did? It caught me at my worst. And it's caught all of you at your worst. You know it has.
You know, this is the actual moral lesson from the, not every adaptation that has got it wrong, but from the original Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde novella.
Oh, I saw that breakdown too. Yeah.
Have you actually read the original novella?
Not for a long time, like 8th grade.
It is actually really good, but it's not.
Yeah, it's a classic work. Yeah, I know it's really good.
Right, but I don't think most people actually read. But yeah, because the main thing for those who have not actually read it or apparently seen the same breakdown, I read it like probably like 25 years ago.
The story's extraordinarily small in scope. It takes place over like a couple days or a week or two. It's not,
But ultimately, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde are not a Hulk character. They're not two personalities in the same body.
He takes a potion to do it intentionally.
But the core concept is actually that all that the potion does is change his appearance. He is still the exact same person, personality-wise.
Right, he does it to hide his crimes. Mr. Hyde isn't evil. Dr. Jekyll is evil.
Right.
Yeah.
Because he's got this anonymity by being a different person.
Well, and it's not even called Jekyll and Hyde. It's called The Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Right.
Because it's a mystery, and then they find out that they're the same person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In any case, getting back to Jigsaw. We're going on a lot of tangents today.
Yeah. We need one of those tangent, like, buzzer stinger effects. Tangents.
In any case, I'm not shocked that Jigsaw crashed, and there have been people talking, and you're allowed to mock him for it, and you're not a bad person, because you're also not invested. And if you're not invested, then you can't be that harsh, and you can't be that evil, and it's fine. You can throw bananas and rotten tomatoes from the sidelines. It's fine. But also, there's been a lot of people really trying to defend him. And one thing that I will say is it doesn't even really matter if he wasn't speeding when he crashed. I don't suddenly believe that the guy who thought that he could do Castle Rock to Denver, or Colorado Springs to Denver in 20 minutes, suddenly developed a lot of really good defensive driving habits.
Right.
Just because he wasn't speeding.
Well, it's like Ralphie May had that really great joke. He was like, "Look at me on stage here." You know, this is when Ralphie May is like 450 pounds. I mean, I think he got down to like 300 pounds at one point, but when he was like his absolute heaviest, he was like, "Look at me. If I died of a heart attack right now, you might be surprised. It might take you by surprise, but would you be shocked? No." Right? Is okay. Yeah, the guy that did Castle Rock to the Denver Tech Center in at like 53 minutes or whatever it was.
Well, no, it was like Castle Rock to Denver, or not Castle Rock, like Colorado Springs to Denver.
I don't think he got into Denver proper. I think he did like the Olympic Center to the Tech Center in that amount of time. It was kind of like the very edges of what. Well, he
probably got to 470, but yeah,
right. Well, that's where the Tech Center is basically. So there might be a 1 mile difference. Yeah. In any case, this is a person who just like swings his genitals in the general direction of safety regularly, right? Even if there's not like, yeah, like, am I a little bit surprised? Maybe. Am I shocked? No. No one should be. Right? Like, it's whatever. It doesn't... I shouldn't have to make a strong case out of why anybody is really anything about this other than like, oh yeah, Jigsaw crashed. I mean, now also, I can separate the art from the artist, right? Like,
yeah.
Look, OJ is still the juice, right? Jigsaw is still a hero, okay?
Yeah, I can like what... I can enjoy what you're doing and also not respect you.
Yeah. Well, no, I still do have some respect for Jigsaw. I never considered him like a core pillar of the community because, one, I don't believe in the community that much. I mean, I believe in like the community that we're like doing specifically around this podcast and the podcast that we know, but not really much outside of that. Right. But that's a very real, tangible thing with real conversations going back and forth and real correspondence with people that listen. This is something different.
Well, I mean,
again, the man is still a hero. Look, I am not an MSF coach because of my feelings on Jigsaw. So maybe it's a sunk cost fallacy that I have to still be a fan.
Well, what I would say is, to the point you just made, is, you know, in terms of having a community, yeah, there is something real there, but you have to remember that when you branch out, like, even though you know people's names and faces and their voice, and you are associating with them in lots of different ways, it's not a linear... It's not like every aspect of the relationship scales linearly out to more and more people.
I think your camera's died and mine's on its last leg. So let's land this plane and then come up with something here for Patreon.
So really all I want to say is, you can have a community, but communities also come with boundaries, and they come with you budgeting your empathy and attention and generosity towards other people. And it can be drastically less than for people you know in person. Your neighbor that you live next to, that you've maybe talked to once in the last 3 months, is far more important in your life than some person that you listen to on the internet every week.
Yeah.
Like, let's keep this shit all grounded, okay?
I mean, keep sending us money, but yeah.
But yeah, they
All right, let's do the outro.
let's do it.
Oh my god. Come on, Face ID. No, we're doing the code. All right, here we go. Is it going to do anything stupid for the sound effects? Is there going to be an ad? No. All right, here we are. And I don't want to die. Just want to ride on my motorcycle. Cole. Okay,